Sex schools first began because women were not found worthy enough of receiving equal education as men. At present, although the level of education for all single-sex and co-educational schools is identical, continuation of single-sex schools is present due to the misconception that if girls studied in the same place as boys, they would not be able to focus and will tend to be distracted by the opposite gender, especially during their growing age. Being educated in a single-sex school curbs the children's chance of working harmoniously and coexisting cooperatively with the opposite sex at present and in the future, where they will have to work side by side. The American Psychological Association believes that the students from gender-segregated schools have a tougher time forming relationships as they get older. Line S. Lieben, a professor of psychology and human development, conducted a study in 2010 in which he found signs of sexism in single-sex schools. She says that just the way separating races promotes racism, separating sexes promotes sexism. It is natural that when two sexes are taught under different roofs, they wonder why they're segregated and they start to think that one gender is better or worse than the opposite. Education is a more realistic way of preparing children to find their identity in the community of men and women. It provides a platform for both genders to communicate, learn from each other socially and intellectually, and helps them build any sort of relationship in the future. They also demote sexist attitudes and gender stereotypes. There are many debates in the classrooms in which points of view of both genders is considered. This is a useful and important experience. They understand that equality and identical are two different things and that both genders have different opinions and perspectives and each has a lot to offer each other. Some studies have shown no clear differences in between sexes in concept understanding and control when comparisons made are systematic. This is because they have similar brain power but varying learning traits. Hence, collaboration between sexes in the classrooms helps develop confidence in students and they excel at university and beyond as leaders as they have more experience. I have interviewed 4 adults who have studied in single-sex schools.
Boys were all playful, did not care about studies, and only played sports. Honestly, I feel like they were bad influence on girls as they were imprudent and one cannot possibly hold a conversation with them.
I did not even know them. They were like a different species. I don't remember speaking to girls at all during my school years.
I always remember being curious about boys. The only thing my friends and I would talk about would be boys during middle and high school.
I was all team boys. I thought boys were the best, and girls only studied and spoke about things like makeup and perfume. My friends and I always believed that boys were better than girls because that is how the aura in school was. I think it was because we were always surrounded by boys. We just assumed it was because girls are not good enough.
Because I had such a low opinion of boys, I found out it very difficult to speak to them. I thought they would not understand me. In university, a lot of my professors were male and I could not get myself to speak to them openly about my doubts in the classes. My inability to communicate with them continues to the first few years of my career. I think it really slowly down my progress and I could have been in a much higher position now.
It made the simple things in life quite arduous. I was quite old, around 18, when I first had a proper conversation with a girl of my age. I did not even know what to say. To this day, I remember the exact feeling of feeling dread I felt in my stomach. It was years before I could carry a normal conversation with a girl.
I'm in high school. I found it really unfair that I was separated from the boys of my age. It was mainly because I had a friend who studied in a co-educational school who could speak to boys normally, like as if they were just normal people, which they were. I was always so awkward and tongue-tied. It was my biggest insecurity for a long period in my life.
As soon as I entered university, I found out that girls are just as smart and normal as boys. To be honest, in the beginning I had a tough time respecting the female professors, as I had this nonsensical belief that girls are incapable. I really regret believing that gibberish for a healthy part of my childhood. My boss at work, even now, is a lady. I wish I had realized earlier that we are just equal.
Co-education surely better. There's so much boys and girls can learn from each other, intellectually and socially. We have the same brain power, so we can experience new learning styles. Most importantly, we are together in the same environment and being taught as equals. That really helps develop each individual personality. This way, we are promoting gender equality and building a better future.
Definitely. Once you step out of school, the world is so co-educational. Not being able to communicate with the opposite gender will really slow down your progress in life.
Education makes you much more confident in front of other people and prepares you much better for your life and career, which is what school claims to do. I would definitely put my child in a co-educational school, as I do not want him or her to feel as though they cannot speak to the opposite gender, as that will hinder them in the future.
Totally agree. Single-sex schools contribute to gender inequality and discrimination. It makes us think one gender is better or worse than the opposite gender, just because we have not communicated with them. Single-sex schools do not create an ideal platform to prepare students for the real world. Instead, they exploit gender separation.